He's just gonna go down in time. This is an
Things happen. Graced up there. Oh, Dicey. Oh my God, J-Mo, the champion of this one. Oh, Asadai! He gets the triple off the rocket at the full.
Oh, what's good, y'all? What's going on? Welcome to day 2 of the VCT Stage 2 Challengers Week 1. It's a mouthful, but listen, there's so much going on. You've got to give it an appropriate title. I'm Doug. With me is my man Lex. And Lex, we had a couple of banger matches yesterday. But it's a new day, baby. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. And I think this first match of the day, Doug, might be the one we're talking about for a while. So I'm excited, looking forward to getting into it.
Listen, before we get all hot and bothered about what's before us today, let me talk a bit about what we saw yesterday. In fact, we're going to be talking for a while. Better yet, we'll do you one better. We have a video teed up breaking down some of what went down yesterday. Why don't you guys take a look at that?
Going to assert great control. This lockdown really sealing the deal too. Good catches from Nitro as he shuts them all down.
Out, shot up, trying to go up over the wall, waits for it to break, and it comes out of nowhere. Oh my gosh, shot
Here, trying to play it off. Weiss gets the close angle, but that's a mistake. He exposes himself, and he gets the second as well.
Shot up. Has to go big here. He has to tank. Oh my gosh, shot up.
Forget what I said. We got a Rolling Thunder coming out as well. Rossi in a 1v1 against Mata, who's just underneath him, and he's gonna drop right on top of him. Okay, early B push. Is it all to do here on a set, man?
My gosh, JC standing with 4, looking for the ace, and the statement's made.
That's a massive kill. It's now down to a 1v1, but it's Vanity who comes out on top. Version.
Ooh, y'all, if that doesn't get you going, if that doesn't wake you up this morning, I don't know what will. We're going to take a quick look at the bracket to see what's before us for today. As you can see at the top, you're going to have 100 Thieves duking it out against Cloud9 Blue, both off of very good wins against Anbox and Immortals, respectively. And then the one that we're going to be breaking down is going to have XSET up against Envy. XSET made quick work of Built by Gamers, and then on the other side, version 1 gave Envy a bit of a scare, a bit of a run for their money, but Envy ultimately walked away victorious, teeing up what we have today. Now, Lex, I don't want us to just talk about XSET and Envy here. I want to get your thoughts on both of the matches, right? Talk to me about Cloud9 100 Thieves, talk to me about XSET Envy and the potential matchups later on. Is there anything that's popping for you right now?
Well, hey, Cloud9 Blue, 100 Thieves, that matchup, you know, potentially getting a berth into upper bracket finals. You've got two teams that I think have had a little bit of an inconsistent past few weeks. And certainly when we're talking about Cloud9 Blue and their kind of roster building over the past month or so, there's been improvements made. They've made some strides. Certainly if you're taking down Immortals 2-1 coming into this tournament, they're doing well, right?
Yeah.
Can't discount that. So I think despite maybe, in my mind at least, I would put XSET and Envy as possibly being the favorites of this of the bracket entirely. I'm actually interested to see whether or not 100 Thieves and Cloud9 Blue can continue to kind of show us the progress that they've been making, you know, over the past few weeks. And certainly in this tournament, this is the place you want to showcase your best stuff, obviously. And so I think we're going to get that out of all 4 of these rosters for today, and I'm looking forward to it, Doug.
Hey, you know, I think you're right, Lex. For a lot. In a lot of ways, the story for 100 Thieves and Cloud9 is the same, right? Like, you build a roster, it's kind of working, but then it's kind of not, and you understand that it's going to take time, right? I don't want to be cliched, but you really do have to trust the process. And for both of those squads, that's a big match today. We also have a couple of studs in the lower bracket who are waiting to see how things are going to pan out. We talked about Immortals yesterday. We talked about version 1 as well. So there are a couple of good things in store for the rest of the day, but it's time. Let's talk a bit about XSET versus Envy, and let's kick things off with XSET taking a look at their roster, who they're going to be bringing into the fold. This is a roster that honestly has continued to impress, right? Like, they looked really good. They continue to build. They make their way to Masters, and then, well, things weren't so hot, but now they have an opportunity to really get back into the fold. Again, he's got Pure, Dwifo, BCJ, Aaron, and then last but not least, we did. And Lex, we're going to talk about this a bit, but one of the things I'm really excited about this squad is they've made some changes to how they're approaching the game since Masters. You've got a couple of role swaps, you've got a bit of a flex that you didn't previously have otherwise, and that's exciting to see.
Yeah, I think on the side of XSET, you've got kind of a little bit more of a legacy to live up to, right? You've kind of stuck with this roster for the past few months, and you've definitely consistently risen the bar at which you're kind of measured. And I think, you know, their success is something that a lot of other teams in the North American scene can look to as a blueprint for how to build something and make it great. So, you know, for the side of Envy, I don't think they're going to have an easy task here today at all.
No, speaking of Envy, let's take a look at their roster as well. And Lex, I know you've spent a good bit of time looking over this team, studying this team, and it's a lot of familiar faces, maybe a different name, but familiar faces across the board. What do you got for us on Envy?
Well, you've got Victor, FNS, Crashies, Mame, and Caboose, 5 players that have been just absolutely, I think dominating is almost an understatement. They've been consistently finishing towards the top end of the North American scene for months now. And I think every time we see them, you know, despite changing up their composition, despite, you know, being willing to kind of push different, you know, metas and actually being able to adapt into them, I think Envy has been a consistent, you know, titan in the North American scene that few teams have been able to say that they've been able to hang with. So, you know, despite the fact that they maybe have had a few close calls in this tournament so far, both against Ghost and version 1, for the side of Envy, I think I'm not overestimating their capabilities by saying that, you know, this will be the toughest team in this bracket for XSET. But I also think this is a moment where XSET could kind of eclipse their previous success and find a weakened maybe Envy where there's changes in the meta that teams aren't necessarily up to par with.
It's going to be a good one. Let's take a look at a couple of specific players, right? Like if we were to highlight a couple of players on both of these squads, right, that we really need to watch, that we really need to keep an eye on. I think if we start off on the side of XSET, Lex, my eyes are on Weeded, and for a number of reasons, right? Like he's fun to watch. He's both really in his playstyle and on Twitter. But one of the things that I've loved about Weeded and really XSET and how they're approaching the game is we're starting to see Matt flex onto a duelist role as well. He busted out the Phoenix on Ascent yesterday against Built by Gamers, and he had himself a hell of a game. So you're seeing some of that change where he has this history of being a controller, right? Omen, he's going to whip out Astra as well, but you got a little extra spice in there, right? Like you got a little something to keep him honest with him on the Phoenix, and he balled out.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of speaking to his depth as a player. And on the other side of things, you've got Mame, who, speaking of depth, I think one of the advantages that Envy has over a lot of other teams in the North American scene is they've got an operator player, Mame in this case, who's consistently delivering on that weapon, and he can do it on just about any agent that he plays. So I think that kind of versatility and that depth that he brings to the table, being able to consistently have an impact on the round, he's going to be someone that we're going to watch in this series.
Oh, and you know, you mentioned it. That's one of the fun things about this matchup too, is a lot of what I said about Weeded, you get with Mummy, right? Like he'll whip out Omen, he'll whip out Jet. You really don't know what you're going to get, and he's able to consistently deliver across both styles. So it's going to be a ton of fun. Let's take a look at maps. We'll see where things are going to be going down across the map pool. We've got a couple of bans come through as well. So here we've got up for us in this series, we're going to be kicking things off on Haven, which both teams played yesterday, and both teams did so with great success. Envy walked away 13-9 over V1. XSET, much more dominant performance, 13-3 over Built by Gamers. That's map 1. Map 2 is going to be Ascent, and then map 3, if needed, will be Bind. Lex, you take a look at the maps that we're going to be working our way through this series. Any thoughts, any impressions?
I think if XSET is going to come away with the series, you know, you got to take Haven first. Even if it goes to 3 maps, I think Bind still probably favors Envy to some degree. So, you know, Haven as the opener in this series, Ascent to follow. Both of these teams are comfortable on both these maps, which is why I think I'm so excited to see them actually duke it out there. You know, if we had seen like a split come through, or maybe somebody won the bans decisively, it would be, I could maybe give a little bit more of an opportunity to XSET, but that's not the case here. I think both these teams are going to be ready to play on both these maps.
We know Agent Select is just around the corner, so we'll be joining that here very shortly. I think one of the things you mentioned, Split wasn't very good for Envy yesterday. They lost 3-13, and a lot of that really was the proficiency that version 1 was able to show on that map, but this time it's not going to be in the fold at all. And we are going to have these maps in front of us. Again, we're going to be kicking things off on Haven. You're seeing some of that Agent Select already come through, and we mentioned Weeded and his versatility. He's going to be whipping out the Astra on this map.
And likewise, Mame on the other side of things, rocking the Astra. And this will be the first, at least the games that I've been able to cast with you thus far, Doug. This will be the first Astra versus Astra that we've seen. And I mean, on Haven, you expect at least to some degree these teams are going to be hitting the long sights a lot.
Yep.
Being able to work using that, the kit that is on Astra definitely changes the way you look at Haven a little bit. And so seeing both these teams kind of as Colossuses just coming together, this will be interesting to watch.
Yeah, you could say it's maybe going to be out of this world. This matchup will be between these two teams and those two players specifically. I think one thing worth looking at is while XSET is going to start on the defensive side of the map, Lex, they put a clinic on the attacking side against Built by Gamers yesterday, and there were so many different things that we saw that we're going to be looking out for to hopefully point out in this match. But again, for Envy, the gap wasn't as big, right? Like, it wasn't as much of a whipping as XSET gave to BBG, but they looked really good on Haven.
Yeah, and that's kind of like I maybe alluded to a little bit, but I just think both these teams on Haven, they're both seemingly so comfortable when we watch them play. So, right out the gate, spreading the map a little bit, the attack side of Envy. Actually, right away, we see Pure moving down into the C-Long cubby, which absolutely would be an issue for Victor, who's actually going to back off a little bit, but...
Well, they hear that, right? Pure hears that. He's got a decent idea, and you're already seeing Weeded pull back over towards C, but it looks like they were just going to grab that ult orb and back off. They did... Yeah, it looked like that was a fake... Astra smoke at the bottom C, but they went ahead and they pull off. They're going to rotate elsewhere along the map, potentially right into where Thwyfo's playing.
Using that owl drone a little bit as a misdirection, clearing out long A, just making sure, and it's going to draw 2 rotators over. So 3 members of XSET on the A site right now, but the attack is poised at the front of Bravo site. So moving in, curveball comes out. Victor takes a site. A little bit of a team blind going on there, but no contact yet, Doug.
No, and it really seems like XSET's just kind of patiently waiting this out. They aren't fully sending onto the site. You also remember, keep an eye on Pure and the space that he took away at the beginning of the round and what he's going to be able to do with that. You do have a couple of players from Envy who are checking out for those flanks, checking out for those lurks, specifically in FNS and Caboose. But now you see XSET funneling onto the site. Victor's going to be the first to drop. Mummy follows shortly thereafter. XSET do have control of the site, and all the remaining members of Envy are just continuing to drop like flies. I love the aggression that we're seeing from XSET, really sticking the matter to Envy, where FNS is left alone. Now, FNS had a chance at something there, but the defuse is going to come through anyway. XSET take the pistol.
Wow, and you just said it, Doug, but the aggression coming out from XSET, you love to see it that early on in this series, right? This is Piss Around, of course, very first opportunity we're going to get to see him. But hey, if you're coming out super confident, that pure flank coming through early, see BCJ just coming in through A-Link, planning the likes of Victor. If you're going to open up this game and even just like, let's just theory craft for a bit here, you maybe take the first few rounds, maybe even grab the bonus, Doug. For XSET, playing against the, I've called them this once already, but the Colossus of Envy on a map that they're comfortable on, it's no easy task. No. If you're going to do it, absolutely. Having that early game confidence to get the momentum and that ball rolling is going to pay dividends in the future. However, Weeded getting caught unawares a little bit. He comes away with 2, make it 3. Only 1 player left, that's FNS getting murdered over there along C4 piece for Weeded. And there's 2, Doug.
Yeah, in flawless fashion, that Spectre looking mighty nice as Weeded roars out of the gates to a 4-1 start. And I think the important thing for Envy here is that they showed something different, right? Like, they tried taking a C split, or primarily through Garage towards C, weren't able to find a ton of success. You really saw the gun difference on full display there, but now we're going to get something a bit different for XSET. you know, we talk about how comfortable they are on this map. If they're able to take this round away, financially, they're going to be just fine.
Absolutely. We have an A-lobby aggression coming out here from XSET.
At the pace at which they're playing this map so far, and look, Lex, they do this on attack as well. They play very aggressively, but we're seeing this on the defensive side now, where Envy start to feel some of that pressure, right? Like, they're getting suffocated out. Pure winning that gun battle with the Spectre into a Vandal is huge.
Yeah, and they used 4 players to take that control, and so coming away with the frag, no deaths. That's a big impact. Wifo has the information now that the C site has been forfeit towards Envy. So the spike plant will be coming out any moment now, as all the members of MNV have regrouped towards that C-long area and C site. Now the retake is on for XSET in a 5v4 situation here, Doug.
And I like the due diligence that XSET are working through here, right? Make sure there's nobody holding a pinch on B main while they try to cut over. They've managed to get through there, and I like what we're seeing out of how they're approaching the retake as well, right? They've sent 2 long, there are 2 in garage, and then you have Aaron who's going to be coming into the defender spawn as well. All of this pressure is going to be so difficult for Envy to handle at the exact same time. You see them begin to funnel in, begin to push through, but of course, as I say that, Envy seems to hold fast. Victor gets a couple. What a response from Envy, Lex.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful play call from Envy, just making sure, okay, listen, we're not going to overextend at C. We're just going to take the map control they've given us. We've scouted out that early A-lobby aggression. Let's just regroup and hit it. They do so, and, you know, hats off to Wifo for staying home, just making sure he's not getting picked early, making sure they're not pushing into C-Link on him. Because there was a bunch of pressure on that side of the map, obviously, on him early. So that retake, despite a lot of the things that maybe XSET was hoping for not coming to pass, they're able to get 3 weapons down, but Envy with a beautiful play call, just regrouping. Actually, as I say that, they move directly into the operator of Pure, and he finds one out of caboose.
Nice, pretty shot, almost lands a second, but that's going to delay things by time. You see, Victor has taken a good bit of space. He also has the run it back, so they may opt to pull that in, but you look on the other side of the map, Crashies is getting some info, understanding that nobody's pushing in from A aggressively into the attacker spawn. But it looks like they're going to try to go C here, Lex.
Yeah, that may have been a...
All right, here we
kill
go.
there from FNS from Garage onto Aaron, and suddenly that C site. Huge amounts of pressure, but Pure holds fast.
Yeah, Victor still able to get one with that run it back. But numbers advantage still in favor of XSET. The spike hasn't gone down yet. As they try to figure out, I mean, they do have some time if they want to pull off, but it's not a lot. You're going to have to commit to something here very soon. Crashies with the tap. That's going to draw out the use of the gravity wall, and then they're going to pull off. And Lex, oh my gosh! Crashies goes huge, and now they can book it out. Weeded gets one to trade it out. But now you've got a 1v1. Weeded so weak.
Crashies got the Nikes on, just heading straight towards A site. No second thoughts about it. And we did, as you said, so weak. 26 HP. Gonna hold on to that operator for the moment.
Oh, Crashies 1 point away from the Hunter's Fury. Lex, this is huge because Crashies...
Yeah, I don't think he'll play for the post point here. Yeah, he's going straight into hell, just knowing how weak his opponent is. Probably better just to take the gunfight cleanly if he can. And this is going to be so difficult for We Did here, Doug.
It is just 26 health. He does have some utility, and he has an ultimate. But just the thing about where Weeded is right now, Lex, is he has no idea, right? Like, he's entirely guessing, has to check every single 50, every little corner, and the clock is not his friend. He's going to have to move. He's going to have to do so here very soon.
Yeah, he needs a mistake at a crash. He's a little bit of luck on his side, unfortunately. He's
just not
made
even
an incorrect call there on where he might be. It's just a total gamble on his end, but hey, there was a few things that XSET did really well in that round, and it's so unfortunate with that double peek from behind C. Crashies just punished that so well. Beautiful shots from him. But noticing that, you know, Victor's been farming that orb over at long C, got the run it back early. Like, okay, what's the strongest thing you can do on this map with run it back? Well, heading up towards that C cubby, being able to pop it from there, Pure, wise to it. Elects to go for that early C long pick, and it did bear fruit for the XSET side. They put his team in an early advantage, and somehow Envy is just able to claw back into that round. Well played by Envy to get their second round on the board here.
XSET coming in a bit lighter, as far as what sort of artillery they're going to have. You see Bucky's Spectres across the board. We did the one with the gun. Dwifo, great use of the Bucky early on. He's able to get one. It gets traded out. That should give Envy access to C.
Yeah,
Oh,
completely
that's bold.
pushed into a retake scenario now.
Yeah, I mean, that lockdown smack dab in the middle of everything. You see them anchoring off. There's really nothing that XSET can do from this position to go ahead and negate that ultimate, so they just have to wait it out. Now they're going to bust the move. Cosmic Divide's going to go up. And remember, Crashies with that Hunter's Fury that came online in the previous round could be a difference maker. Pure looking to be a difference maker himself with the blade storm. Looking for a second, not going to land. He's going to get mowed down. Aaron following closer behind as he looks to get a couple of kills of his own, and things go absolutely sideways for XSET as Envy methodically get onto the site, get the spike down, and they walk away with that round, Lex, with 2 ultimates still in tow.
Yeah, and I think, you know, obviously you're not necessarily keen on saving Spectres or Buckies in that retake scenario. So what XSET had the opportunity to do there is build a few ultimates of their own. They do get the showstopper on Aaron, almost got the Hunter's Fury on VCJ, but considering this is going to be the next gun round for them, it's a little bit of a bummer that we're going to see. I think he's got a Bucky now. He had a Sheriff just a moment ago. But yeah, this is going to be a solid buy here for Envy. They've got a few ultimates to work with, Doug. And considering how much they've been able to just kind of, you know, dominate XSET over the C side of the map, they're going to like to just spread into a default now, await any sort of, you know, cheeky map control being taken by XSET. They've already shown that they have a propensity to do that a few times now. Envy just being very cautious, making sure to clear things out. Aldrone being popped very deep from Crashies, even outside of A lobby. So as they get the information that there's no one home, an easy call to just regroup towards A. All 5 players from Envy now approaching on the long A.
Well, and BCJ used his drone to get information that nobody was home across the middle of the map either. So you see him start to lean towards A. Really on both sides. You see a couple of drones coming out as well. The damage coming through can be so difficult, but Dwifo's in a great spot. He got tagged up, but man, he's dealing damage right back, as is the rest of XSET. As Pure gets 2 of his own. FNS alone.
Do you see that gravity well? FNS does find 1, actually, before I get ahead of myself. Finds 2,
boy.
and now it's a 1v3.
No way.
He almost made that happen, man. Oh my goodness, I was about to start talking about how beautiful that gravity well was from We Did, and then FNS is like, hold up.
Well, now that we have a
play?
moment, that we have a moment, break down that gravity well for me, Lex. What'd you see?
I mean, okay, so the recon dart came out from BCJ from heaven, and right there, Dwifo just catching a Caboose who is just stuck in the middle of that gravity well, and Victor caught just behind it, tries to refrag it, gives just enough time for Dwifo to reset. FNS with some beautiful weapon control here, finding 3 consolation prizes. Do count to some degree. Fortunately, despite that, you got 2 Sheriffs, a Frenzy, and a Spectre to accompany Crashy's Vandal in this round. Early Hunter's Fury towards the A site. And immediately they're going to take control of the entire side of the map over here, Doug.
Yeah, and XSET seemed pretty comfortable in giving some of that up as they want to play for a retake. Now, you keep an eye on BCJ. He's got his Hunter's Fury. When you see him posture from that position, you oftentimes see that ultimate come out. Got a couple of tags. That's really all the damage that was done. Dwifo spotting 1 down low. Another excellent recon dart to give some info away, but that's all there is. The lockdown has been used. Showstopper's going to follow up as well as Caboose doesn't get a chance to fire it off. That's absolutely enormous. Lex, as now the lockdown does come through. Aaron got detained, but it could be bait as they work their way forward. Pure is there, able to take care of Aaron for the time being, understanding that FNS is likely playing in short as well, and it looks like they might try to stick to the fuse. We did sitting on it, and yeah, baby, they're going to get it. You had to challenge in that situation, and XSET were just wise to it.
I didn't see if that was a double stack cage for Dwifo there, but that was a beautiful play for him to drop from heaven and silence the showstopper from Caboose. You think he was over in that hell position easily, as at least 1, potentially 3, as those players were coming in from CT lower, or sorry, defender spawn. And wow, there was just a huge opportunity for Envy to lock that down with almost, I think, the entire team alive. Instead, the heroics from Dwifo silencing that. Suddenly they're in a 3v5, and XSET, who, you know, I would say they got outmaneuvered at the beginning of the round. I don't know if there was a tell or a read that Envy was able to pick up on to make that call towards A, but they found a free site and unfortunately weren't able to convert it, and so now forced into an even worse economic situation. They force back into it with what they can, but XSET is picking up steam now, Doug, as they claim their 4th in the half.
Now, be cautious of FNS here. He's the one who's got the spike. He's kind of playing that sniffer position, right? Ensuring that nobody's lurking their way through. He's being a rat working their way through any sewers. No one's going to be spotted, but like you said, Envy doesn't have a lot to work with here, right? Some frenzies, Sheriff. That's really it.
Yeah, just a matter of finding the weakness, finding the weak side of the map for XSET, find out where the rotations are, and try and exploit it. And as we see that, the likes of Envy have picked up on that. There's nobody home at B.
They might try to pick up that Vandal that they saw, but it might not matter. You see XSET showing that gun difference already as they mow down a couple of members of Envy. Just one remains. He's going to drop as well. XSET win that round as you expect them to, and they take a 2-round lead.
Yeah, and Doug, you and I have talked about this so many times on broadcast, but Haven as a map, okay? And I'm always the guy who's like, well, whoever is able to build a bank will surely run away with the half. But 5 rounds for XSET now. Are you comfortable here? Is this a place you want to be? Right, like, are we looking for 7 or 8 rounds in this half now? Like, how hard do you think XSET is willing to push this, considering how well they're playing against Envy right now?
I don't, Lex, you know my stance on this. If you're on the defensive side, you need more, right? Like, if you can get away with more, you're cruising going into that next round. Caboose looking to stop that dead in its tracks. He gets the first pick onto Aaron. You hear Victor's going to use the run it back. And look, Victor's run it backs, and there's no statistical way to prove this, but I'm fully convinced that he provides more value. What a shot dart out of those run it backs than anybody else in the game. But BCJ is showing that he can do a bit of that on his own. Caboose in a great spot here. Not going to take the blast pack up, but the Cosmic Divide's going to come out in an excellent spot. There's not a whole lot they can do here. Great gravity well used by Mummy. The spike continues to tick away. They're going to have to push through here. Here they come. They all come in at the same time. They were able to get a couple of picks of their own. Weeded's still alive. Nice shots. But Victor stands strong. He gets 3. It wasn't the run it back. It was just him and his Phantom that win the round for Envy.
Wow. And for a moment there, it really seemed like XSET was going to be able to retake that. Unfortunately for them, just too strong of a post plan from Envy. Holding things down. Victor just wouldn't work for his team. I mean, you were mentioning the run it back, just even the information gained, making sure that your team doesn't need to worry about re-clearing short afterwards, making sure the site is completely vacant. Huge confident boost if you're following that run it back into a site, knowing that there's just nobody home. So Envy a few times in this game have just made some tactical reads that have made it much easier on this approach in Haven. Early garage control being taken by Envy, and that's map control that you don't necessarily want to give away for free, but Pure flubs the shot, misses it wide. From that C platform position, the operator usually at least expected to take contact, if not find the pick. Didn't find his mark there. 3 members from XSET are in the C-Link C site position, so if Envy does elect to come here, they will not be meeting the sparse resistance that they're getting used to now, but time will tell, Doug, as this long C peak is sure to come out on a Pure any moment.
It's interesting. They're choosing to challenge him again. They know that their operator's there, but they feel so confident in their ability to play around it. They have no problem going back towards C. That's now 3 shots that he hasn't been able to connect on. Here comes Victor. Curveballing his way in. Weeded's going to drop. Hunter's Fury coming out from BCJ on really the opposite side of the map to try to wreak havoc. But it's his team who's able to land the kills that are needed. The operator finally comes online for 2 in the round as Pure knocks down a couple of members of Envy. XSET continue with the 2-round lead.
Wow. Like I'm impressed several times in this half with XSET and their ability to just kind of rebound, right? You know, you just reset Envy again, and you know, 3 players were positioned correctly for XSET there for that push.
Right here.
And even though the initial engagements necessarily didn't give them that advantage, that Hunter's Fury coming out from BCJ definitely causes some disruption on the execute itself. Players jumping around, free targets for Pure and Aaron on the site. Well played by XSET to claim their 6th, and as you said, you want every single round here on defense that you can, and that ain't gonna help things. Victor with a huge Phantom frag on a Pure.
No, and again, we highlighted it in the previous round, but Pure again just narrowly missing those opening shots, and this time he gets severely punished for it. Victor looking to add more insult to injury as he lands considerable damage onto Aaron, forces him back down to 26 health, and now it looks like they've dealt the damage they wanted to deal, and they're going to be able to rotate away.
And this is going to be his like third or fourth run it back yet in this half, and almost every single time it's helping determine the outcome of the round. So I think it's fourth. Never mind. Doesn't matter. BCJ falls immediately to it, and he's going to grab another one. Aaron falls.
3 on the round for Victor already, and Lex, remember, this is not an ideal round for the members of Envy. They had a couple of sheriffs of FNS is still rocking a frenzy, so they did not come in at full strength, and it doesn't seem to matter at this point as XSET's just down to a couple of members in the round. It doesn't even look like they're going to try it, right? They're just probably going to let this one go. Maybe if we did get something, maybe a couple of exits on the way out, you kind of change the conversation. Wifo catching the lurk from FNS there. We did as well. A 2v3 is a very different conversation, but the thing is the time is continuing to tick away as well. For XSET, this is just a difficult spot. Now, Lex, I highlighted it a couple of rounds ago. The value that Victor gets out of his run-it-backs are unmatched.
Yeah, it's small wonder why they've been farming the orb for him specifically this entire game, getting massive amounts of value off of it. You know, he's at 10 and 8, which frag leader for his team, but most importantly, these first bloods that just being able to push into this site right here off the back of what can only be said as the brute force of Victor coming up with a run it back up short. It's incredible how much that can change the outcome of the round. One of the greatest ultimates in the game, the run it back. Certainly showing us why there.
All right, Mummy's going to bring an op into the fold this time around to match up against Pures. Pures going to be holding down the middle of the map. No one's going to be spotted. And once again, Envy looking to close out this half. Yet to hopefully 6-6 while taking control of A. They've been here a couple of times now, and they've been, it's worked, right? Like they have found relative success on this half of the map. But you've got to deliver here.
Take flight. You should run.
All right, here we go. Lockdown's coming out. Again, nothing really to counter it, right? So FNS can use that safely, push off the members of XSET that remain on the site while they funnel their way in. Nobody's detained, and again, they take that as really a free entry onto the site, but BCJ has been able to hang out long enough to stick around. Of course, as I say that, he sticks around a bit too long, potentially, and he drops. Weeded and Pure still have a couple of ultimates of their own, while Crashies and Caboose can do the same. But for now, again, XSET just patiently waiting, Lex.
Last round, there it is. Cosmic Divide coming out from Weeded. Should make the retake a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, it's going to take a whole lot more than that. As Pure gets mowed down, he tries to dash in with the Blade Storm. It doesn't matter. XSET's just down to Aaron. Envy just beautifully denied that retake. A flawless round to close out the half. Envy played that. They couldn't have played that any better, Lex.
Yeah, and on a retake, it is so important, that first engagement, but if you're losing it to an operator, an untradeable kill, really tough to even get a foothold into the site there. And as I was praising the use of the Cosmic Divide to maybe make it a little bit more manageable, Envy just shuts the door. A strong half out of both teams, I'd say. And, you know, at a few different moments, maybe have lent the advantage to Envy on these rounds, but XSET managing to deter the economic foothold of Envy in this half, and suddenly, you know, despite Envy winning some of the bigger gun rounds, I think XSET should count themselves fortunate that they were able to get into the economic situation they did. That said, 5 players now for XSET, already mounting up towards 4B push here in the middle of the map.
Like FNS has to go big here. XSET like to take B and push through, right? Like they'll smoke ceiling really hard and push their way into A. Like that's why I was saying FNS has to be able to anchor this. Just enough time for the rest of Envy to rotate over. Victor gets here, he gets a kill. Weeded has made their way to the back of the site, but the plan has gone sideways, right? They haven't been able to push their way through. They're kind of like stuck, right? Like they're sardines in a can here on B, where they have pressure coming in from both sides. There are not a whole lot of options left for XSET here.
Yeah, Envy just decimating this B push. For a moment, as you said, FNS in the back of the site, it really looked precarious for him. Not a lot of help being available first 10 seconds or so of that engagement, but we'll find one delays just enough for the rotation from Victor to come in, and you know, you take the pistol, your Envy. This is a feel-good spot. This is where you can kind of establish your dominance in a game. You know, clean up the first eco round, clean up the bonus, and suddenly this doesn't look like such a contested map. But on the other side of that coin, I'd say XSET, with how quickly they were trounced in the pistol round, need to continue to find a weakness in this Envy defense. Already coming to the Spectre, a headshot from Caboose, finding a second. FNS and Mummy chime in with their own. No weakness found yet here, Doug.
No, not in that round. And again, I think they had classics, and that may have been all they had. So you expect that round to go in favor of Envy. They take a 2-round lead, and now you've got XSET with an opportunity to respond from a position of strength. I like what we're seeing out of Envy, though. Mummy opting to bring an operator into this round.
Yeah, and actually, we were talking about it earlier in this half, or early in the first half, but I think XSET, you know, winning the opening pistol of the game, came out firing on all cylinders, really looked confident throughout the first few gun rounds. I think we could say the same for Envy at this point. Not just having the confidence, but, man, they're hitting their shots, they're firing on all fronts. And I thought maybe we'd get a little bit of a duel here at short A, but Mame, no joy yet. As XSET need to bide their time and be ever so cautious approaching even this A lobby. Good reason.
Yeah, man, he had a chance at Pure. Makes that operator sing, already bringing so much value after the heavy investment at this point in the half. And now if you're XSET, you just kind of got to slow things down and reassess how you want to play this out.
Take garage control, which there's 2 players from Envy on C now.
Oh boy. Caboose shined in this exact position just in the previous round, and again, he seems to be picking up right where he left off. Crashies is getting in on the action as well, as XSET just get picked apart. A second flawless round in a row, and Lex, that was a rifle for XSET.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at earlier, man. Is like, you clean up this bonus if you ever get to that point where economically you are sitting pretty for several rounds moving forward. And yeah, despite the early investment of the operator for Mame, certainly that's a risk, but look how it paid off in that last round.
Yep.
Finding the opener on a Pure, and if nothing else, suddenly XSET, any game plan that you may have had coming into this attack side, any kind of you know, elaborate ideas of how you're going to approach this defense of Envy, well, now you've got the operator on Mame, and that is a whole different story when it comes to being able to manage and pick apart a defense. And actually, as I say that, they do find out Crashies at long A. Victor finds 2. So 3 on 4. The A site is now in possession of XSET, Doug.
Yeah, that was a big kill from Victor, though, to get the runner back online. Again, we've stressed the importance, the value of that ultimate in his hands. He has it here. Yeah, XSET have gotten onto the site. They do have a rifle. Still haven't fully committed to the plant. I don't know that you really have much of a choice here. Media's going to get the spike down, and it's going to be on Envy to fight for the retake.
There is a flank coming in from a lobby, so Envy in no rush, just making sure there's no lurkers available to make plays for XSET. I'm sure with the amount of time it took to plan, it was making Envy wonder if there was another ace up their sleeve, but a bit of a crossfire over here to spawn, but
oh, that's big. Victor offline, but FNS responding in kind with getting 2 of his own. Pure not able to deliver the last. Envy managed to take the site back, and they're going to get the defuse. A 4-round lead, Lex.
yeah, and that is just a beautiful, diligent, complete retake from Envy, where they just really were no rush to put any kind of pressure on XSET. They just let things unfold as it was. And once you find out one player's towards a lobby, once you find that pick, you know, close defender spawn, I think it was Victor who found 2 there on the retake. I mean, that flank just coming in was huge.
Yep.
Now you're at 10-6, and this is the last really solid chance for XSET to turn the momentum of this match around. I mean, you've got potentially giving Envy 11-6. The outlook of this game really becomes dire, Doug, and you know, Mame just talked about in the last round over here towards C. Not going to find any contact early. But XSET's got to dispense a whole lot of utility. As I say that, BCJ dry peeks mid-window. Okay. To avoid getting picked is what I was about to say. So, never mind there. 5-on-4, Envy already looking good in this round, Doug.
Yeah, and you saw Crashies. He worked his way up a short, got some of that info. Meanwhile, FNS is doing a lot of the same as he's worked his way into C-Long Cubby. So you start to get a little bit of a process of elimination to understand where the remaining members of XSET are. That's why you see him so heavily huddled around B.
Yeah, and they know they've yielded Garage to XSET, and Aaron just getting the same feverish desire to peak that BCJ just showed us. And when your team's down and you finally got a rifle in your hands, just like, somebody duel me, man. Fortunately, the operator's the one who came to fight. Caboose finds another and beautiful off angle there.
Yep.
You had no idea.
No, and even like crouching in that moment to not have that like cursor placement be a factor was just very well played. And now again, XSET down to 2 members left.
No more charges left.
They don't have a ton of time either. You wonder if they just kind of try to save this out.
Yeah, this sucks.
Carry the rifles, yeah.
It's a tough spot to be in. Definitely gonna like to save, but you'd see the frustration from Weeded as he's spinning around in circles. It's just, I didn't even get a chance to shoot my gun.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is kind of the scary place that I was alluding to at the beginning of the round, where if you aren't able to claim an attack side round yet, you know, if you're going into this 18th round or whatever it is, where Envy's about to be given map point. If you don't win this next round, there's a lot of pressure. And you don't have a full kit. You got a few light armors. You got a Spectre in the hands of XSET. But, you know, both of those peaks, you got to think neither of them were necessary for the success in this round for XSET, and yet came out regardless. And unfortunately for them, Envy now is not only hitting max money on just about every single player on the team, but they're showing no cracks in their defense so far, Doug.
No, they're not. And I think... All right, so XSET's bringing in almost full weaponry here. Yeah. And so actually, okay, this is one of the things I wanted to highlight. XSET's playing this attack half very differently than they played against BBG. They would normally force stack one side. So here, they'd force stack A, and they'd leave Thwifo on C to prevent this, right? But so much information is gathered from where Caboose is, and even if XSET is not able to find their way in through A and they have to rotate off, guess what? If they go towards C, there's a showstopper waiting for them.
Yeah, really confident play coming out from Envy the past few rounds. We've seen FNS do it, we've seen Caboose do it. They know XSET is largely ignoring that side of the map. As I say that, BCJ gets caught with the scan, Jig is up. And I think Envy already had gleaned enough information to know that B was at risk, so they're not really stressing this hard at all. XSET saying, hey, nobody's home, we're going to go ahead and take this.
See the high hands from Victor to try to buy some time, but he's going to pull off. Thwifo on the lurk, trying to cause some havoc. He's going to drop. Let's see what Victor can do. Oh, he's running back. Oh, flash right in the face. Swings out, doesn't land the kill, but Crashies does. As Victor gets back to safety. The Cosmic Divide's going to come out, prevent anybody from trying to pull in from the A-Link side of things. This is very difficult here if you're XSET. You only have 2 members remaining. You've got to be able to stand strong, and the thing is, there's so much pressure coming in from so many different angles. Envy are able to take the site back with relative ease, and Lex, they gave it up, right? Like, they were perfectly comfortable giving XSET all of that real estate, confident that they'd be able to take it back, and they did.
Oh yeah, even when they had the information, the solid information where XSET was and where they wanted to go, you didn't see anybody move. It was almost like, oh, they're gonna take B from us? Well, great, well, we'll see there. You know, just knowing that their retake was gonna be strong enough, capable enough to make that happen, well, certainly works. Now we've got Envy on map point, and XSET still without an attack side round here on Haven, Doug. And I mean, they're going to change things up. They're going to see if they can maybe work a C-split into this round. But I think just about every single time they've tried to make a move, you know, they've run into the operator of Mummy. You've got a second operator on Crashies now. There's some threats on the board, and may just be a matter of process of elimination to find out what is available to them. And they're going to find out very quickly that C is not.
Yeah, I was waiting to see who was going to get that ult orb. It is going to be BCJ. It could have gone in favor of Aaron as well. And again, Envy understand where they are right now because look at how much space has been taken away in A, right? They have a decent idea, and they're able to press in to take some of that real estate out. So Mummy's Operator is not going to be in the fold initially, but Victor is, and who else but Victor? Good for one, looking for the second, line him up, knock him down, he gets two. Aaron's able to trade him out with the Spectre. Now they've got to go. They've got to be able to beat the remaining members of Envy onto the site. Aaron with the showstopper, and so beautifully played by Crashes. He's not even going to check it, right? He's just going to wait patiently, Pure wisely peeks that, gets the kill. He should be able to get the spike down.
Yeah, that very much could have been tragic. Instead, Envy's still alive here. Boost actually is going to miss that showstopper by a country mile, and now it's a 1-on-2 is Pure alone here at short. Takes a duel against FNS, and he's going to come up short. That is actually going to be map point here for Envy. 13-6 against XSET on Haven.
And I mean, what a dominant performance, Lex. This almost doesn't seem like this is real, but it was 6-6 at half, right? And we even teed up how good XSET can be on the attacking half, given what we saw yesterday against Built by Gamers, but it was just not that at all.
No, and I think, you know, when they were on defense, they had a few different times where they showed us how confident and skilled they could be, you know, playing as a unit and taking away map control early. Instead, though, as soon as Envy got some wind under the sails, they were just running away with that game.
Yeah.
Some really confident play from Victor. Excellent performance from him. And I think, you know, when it comes to the caliber of teams that we're talking about, I want to put XSET up on the same pedestal as some of the higher echelon teams in North America, such as Envy, but that was a world-class performance coming out from Envy and not one from XSET.
It really was, and unfortunately, I know 56% of you were leaning towards XSET on Haven. Didn't pan out, but you mustn't lose hope, because second map may be an entirely different story. Folks, we're going to cut to a break. When we return, map 2 between XSET and Envy. Don't go anywhere.
Change of range.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dogpile.
Like in groups, always look.
I'm cutting you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
We need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's
that
no
being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.